Hello, and welcome back to Open, everyone. You know, we're always inviting you to get social with us. That's right. Tweet us at Bronxnet TV. And while you're there, tweet me too at Rhina Valentin. So this year, the Bronx Museum of the Arts is holding its 20th edition of Comic Culture Teen, focusing on themes such as social activism, global history, and history of Native tribes. And here to tell us more about this year's program, we welcome educator and cartoonist Ivan Velez. Hello and welcome
How you
back.
doing?
We are so happy to have you back again this
Oh my God, me
year.
too.
Yeah, I know, because you're like so rad. Um, and I mean that
Thank you.
because you are,
Oh,
right?
thank you.
Well, it's about social justice and implementing it into the next generation. And I
Right,
just love
right.
how you use your cartoon expertise as a means of messaging, this positive and empowering next generation of thinking.
Right, right. Well, it's something. My career is kind of unique because I came from a social activism background, and then when I was like one of the first Latinos to work in like Marvel Comics and Milestone and stuff like that as a writer, it just kind of like colored everything else afterwards. And even though my career kind of fell down about maybe 20 years ago, comic books, teaching comic books really kind of saved me and kind of like gave me a place to be in the world.
What do you mean by it fell down 20 years ago?
Well, things happen. I
Why?
mean,
Because you weren't with Marvel anymore?
well, this is what happened when I was in the mainstream, and I really enjoyed being in the mainstream for a while.
Right.
But there's a lot of stuff that happens in the mainstream, particularly in the '90s. That I'm a kind of a unique person. I'm like, I was first Latino. I was different orientation, this or that. I'm very public about who I was, and it didn't go
You
so
can say
well.
it.
I know, but I'm just saying it didn't
Okay.
go as well as I could have. So when I stopped getting work, and that's kind of what happened. It's like the mainstream comics kind of quit me. My identity kind of was like really kind of depressed and sad for a little while. And teaching comics was kind of like a way, and it was my mom who did that, by the way. She used to work right around the corner in PS 86, and she used to do after school programs with Aspira. And she saw how depressed and kind of down I was, and she wanted me to teach kids. And I did a part-time job there. I did the first comic culture class there. Wow, so long ago, 20 years ago. And it really gave me a chance to kind of like see life in a different way and see that there's no reason why weren't more kids of color in comics industry, in the stories. I mean, when I was a little kid, we didn't have any characters of color at all. I
Right.
mean, no blacks, no Latinos, or Asians, nothing. So this was kind of a way to like, kind of like not only continue to do my own cartooning, which is going pretty well. Thank you very much.
Right.
Yeah,
Congratulations. I think it's
hello.
going very
Yeah,
well.
I'm doing okay,
No,
and
I love it because you get to say what you want to say
yeah, and it's just
without
really,
somebody censoring it.
and thank goodness that when I look back at my career, thank goodness I had that bump in the road there because if not, I wouldn't be here. I would be still like doing comics for like Batman or Superman or something like that. Doing somebody else's work.
Right. Versus what you do now, which is
Right.
what, just share what you do now.
Well, we teach these classes. Every year is a different theme. I try to teach them a little bit of social activism in the comic book work. I try to teach them to be aware of the images they're getting from the world, and I try to teach them to create images and have themselves reflected. And right now, manga, Japanese comics, is so popular right now, and I saw that how deep kids were getting into it, more than American comic books right now. So I kind of use that kind of thing too, and I have a whole host of people come in and help me, and like manga artists and different cartoonists. And I'm just really happy the way things are going. The kids seem to be respond to it. I've been getting a grant to do this. It's like 10 years now for getting a grant for the Bronx Council of the Arts. Thank you very much. And I've just got a lot of support. The Bronx Museum lets me host it there. They let me use their supplies and their rooms. And it's just been a wonderful thing.
And the workshop started, right?
The workshop started. The young kids started. We have like 2 sessions in this semester. The young kids finished about 2 weeks ago. Now we have the teenagers, which is 13 to 19. We have a second class on Saturday, and we'll go to the end of June. And then like the June, we'll have like the big party, invite everybody to come.
Is there limited seating, or like how does one join
You
the
can
classes?
actually show up at just register on site,
Right.
at least for the next couple of weeks. I like people to go to comicculturex@gmail.com and just kind of give me a name and a heads up. We usually get around maybe 10 to 15. If we get a little bit more, that's okay, because when I work for the libraries, I've done up to like 50 kids at once. But it's a nice kind of like little intimate group, and they seem to be doing really well. I really enjoy that.
So how do you could it be a newcomer, or should it be somebody that's somewhat versed in comic book
I think
sketching and
you
writing?
have to kind of not only you have to understand that people come from different kind of like points in comics. They might like to read comics, they might like to draw, and they might like to write. Some maybe just need some kind of like other kind of stimulus to get going. We have different, how you call it, different levels on the spectrum show up sometimes, and we deal and we fold everybody in. And it's just, you don't have to learn how to draw. You don't have to learn how to write. But I will tell you this, after the class, you will draw better, you will write better, and I think you'll see the world a little bit more open.
So how are you able to gauge that though? Like if you have all these different levels in one room,
Well, it's been intimate enough that we can kind of go with each person.
right?
When we have panelists come in, the questions are really good. We see how they kind of respond, and we also see the level of work improve. So that's in that way, it's only a 6-week, 7-week program. And it's only like one time a week, but even
the
that little
teenagers
bit.
just started, right? I
The
just want
teenagers
to
started, right.
clear that
The
because
teenagers
you're
started.
saying it's 6 to 7 weeks, so
Right.
that means they still have time.
They still have time to come in. We also have programs during the summer with public library. I have a comic culture class with them too. If you go to my website planetbronx.com, you can see what other classes are available. And of course, I will start once I come back from Asia in August. I will start.
Que vida.
I know, right?
Ay, Dios mío, se va para Asia. I love it, love it.
Well, it's good to be an artist. It's just,
That's what's up.
it's a different life. I mean, I worry about my retirement because there's no pension, no nothing. But let's see what happens when we get there.
Well, we could hook you up with a life insurance
Right,
that'll help
thank
you out
you.
with that. Yeah,
Right,
but-
right.
yeah, off screen.
Okay.
However, what are the themes that you like to focus on?
Well, we deal with isms, kind of recognizing like racism, even positive isms like feminism and stuff like that. We talk about what happened in Puerto Rico. In fact, when we talk about the indigenous cultures right now, it's kind of a way to understand this country because everything that happened in this country really happened in Puerto Rico and Cuba and Dominican Republic because that's when the Europeans first came in, about colonization, so we teach about that. We teach them that, even the Bronx natives, they exist. People in this country, indigenous people really seem to be so invisible in so many different ways, and we it's this kind of a way just to open your eyes and see that they're not only just indigenous people, but like Asians, Arabs, Bangladesh. It's like all the different cultures, and we want to recognize and kind of fold them into the art. Not just that one mainstream, person in America.
That's fascinating. I just got a visual of like incorporating folkloric stories,
Yeah.
into
It's
a
so rich.
superhero. It's
Yeah.
absolutely.
They're amazing.
And then the superpowers can come from like drums and things of that
Right,
nature.
and people have been doing it because, if you even look at Spider-Man, he's basically an Anansi story. He's like the trickster spider. So it's like all this kind of stuff is in there already, but we want to do our own version. We want to just kind of do the right, true, valid way.
Well, we want to tell our truth.
Yeah.
Our
yeah.
truth is
And
really
they're
what it
telling,
is.
these kids are telling the truth. And they really surprised me, and I learn a lot just from seeing what they come up with and what they talk about and what they put through on the paper.
So before we go, what stands out for you the most in your programming when you've worked with an individual and have seen them off?
Well, I have students that come back to me, right? I have students who are like maybe 30 years old, which is kind of freaked out when you see them. It's like, oh my God. And they still in the industry. They're art teachers, they're artists, they're writers, and I think right now, we're going to try to do a little short films next year and get together. So that's like a beautiful thing. I see a lot of people who went into the classes join the game and improve the game. I have one student who's like just won a major Glyph award for her work, and I'm just so proud of her. Alyssa, Shauna Grant, she's like amazing.
Awesome.
So it's good to see that for whatever reason, my connection to the kids and their connection to the art it's working, and they're in the world and they're changing the game, which is a beautiful thing.
I'm so excited.
I know,
It's
right?
like, yes, no, I adore your energy, Ivan.
Thank you.
Ivan, you're doing some great stuff. Look at how you're sprinkling our next generation. And thank you for sharing those inspiring stories.
And I'm doing stuff for adults too. Okay, this summer we're hosting 3 programs for adults workshops, and they'll happen at the Bronx Museum, and they'll be on the website. So adults kind of can get into it late too, but they enjoy comics and manga and stuff like that. And we want to discuss that.
All right, so we went through a lot of stuff, but basically the central location is the website, the comic culture.
Planetbronx.com.
Planetbronx.com.
Right.
Planetbronx.com. Ivan Velez, everyone, and we love having him here. And Comic Culture Teen is actually currently going on now all the way up until June 30th, and the classes are from 12 noon to 1:30, and they're open for teenagers. What's the age range we're talking about?
13 to 19.
13 to 19. 2019. And once again, for more information on that, you can go to bronxmuseum.org. And for more information on all of the courses he's offering, you can go to planetbronx.com, right?
Thank you. Yep.
Awesome.
Perfect.
All right, yeah, the Art Students League has celebrated its 125th anniversary of arts, and reporter Ashley Tiffany has the story. Let's take a look.